It's interesting how you compared HR and marketing when you said learning and development, nobody really cares, right?
Yeah.
So, Max, I'll come to you with this question. There's this flattening of space. We are engaging at a fraction of our capacities online. Everything has been reduced to spoken language, not even sounds. There is no space for silence. Our skins are not really in the game, quite literally. So, for somebody whose calling is art, is this embodied performance, inhabiting space, displacing space, to be told that what you do is not an essential service, what does that leave us with? What does that make one feel? I mean, what was it like for you?
Mm. Um, it was strange because when it starts to get the lockdown, I was in India. So I got one of the last planes home to Germany. And so the first week or two, I was tired because it was a 35 hours trip home. I didn't realize everything. Okay, lockdown in Germany is not like in India, so it was easy. And for me, I realized that so many people are, oh, I don't want to wear a mask. Oh, it's negative. I don't want to hear it. And then also in Germany, it started to that so many go transform to online shows, training, and I have to say, for me, it's hard because um, I don't like um, theater or performance on a screen. I don't like it. Really, sometimes I watch some plays or something online or on YouTube, but I don't like it. For me, I need this feeling of a theater, the feeling of people around. I need this view. For me, it's hard to focus on a screen. So um, after a while, I decided I don't want to make shows online. For me personally, um, for a while I tried to watch from friends or was interesting, and then I realized no, that's not my thing. Um, then I started to teach a little bit online. I think Preeti, it was our session was my first online training. I was really excited. To tell the truth, I wasn't sure if it will work. I was just thinking, okay, let's try it. Okay, I got after this session a good feeling. For me, it was okay. I hope for the others also. And I realized, okay, teaching online, uh, there are some possibilities. They're perhaps better than if you teach personally, but a lot of things which are important for me, I miss online. Um, I think it's the body language. Also for me, that I could look at one person, and for me it's hard on the screen. There's some windows, and you switch all this. Those focus is for me hard, and also you don't see the legs if somebody is shaking legs or something. And I realized I missed this, and and for me I said, yeah, okay, I could do it, but I don't have to do it.
Mm.
Uh, okay, for me it's easy because I don't have to do it really for the money. So I really could decide what I want to do and what I don't want to do. So I did some other coachings with improv groups in a little bit, and it worked really good in a way. They were all happy. But for me, it's no, it's not. I don't like it. It's okay. It's fine. But no, I need people around me, and especially shows. For me, going to the theater, meet some people, have a drink, go to the place, sit, watch it, smell it. All this, uh, I need it, and when I watch something, I want to decide what I'm looking on it. If I want, sometimes a person in the back is just standing, and it's for me, sometimes it's much more interesting that the main character playing like hell, and this guy in the back is just looking, and it's more interesting. And I want to decide. I also want to decide not to look at it. Sometimes I want to decide just close my eyes and listen. I don't do it on the screen because everybody sees that I'm closing my eyes. So yeah, that's my thing. And but I'm happy that a lot of people like this, and I think a lot of people, this online shows and training opens a door for them. I think that a lot of people like this, and a lot of people are happy not to go out, not to go in the theater, don't have to book the ticket, just decide I want to see the show. So perhaps it's for the whole scene, it's good. More people come into art. Yeah, and overall, I realized in Germany, the government gives a on art. It's really disappointing, and I'm really sad about it because I think not only for the people who work there, and so many people forget the man on the light and all this stuff. I also think it, art gives some people so much to see and give a good feeling or this. And I think it's so important in a soccer league, allowed to play all the time. And
Yeah.
you think, okay, it's fine. Some people are happy with it, but we have so many artists, and I think give it to the people. I'm sure it makes the people better. But now the problem is everybody wants to go on stage. Every day is so many things, so it's too much at the moment. But I think a lot of artists stopped making art and switched in a normal job.
That's the saddest part. In fact, in a place like Bombay, you have people, particularly in acting, you have people coming from villages, from north, from small towns. They all come here and they're literally, hand to mouth existence, trying to make it, trying to get parts in theater, TV. And after this, like, they just have to pack their bags and go home. When are they going to come back? When are they ever going to, can they ever do this ever again? It's haunting. We are privileged. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I have a house, I have food on my table. Fine, great. I'm not going to die, right? I can sustain somehow. Even next 3 years, if I don't act and start acting after that, I'll still be okay. But what about these guys? That was really haunting. Knowing that these people are in such a bad plight. And yes, for categorizing this as non-essential, there was an article in the newspaper where arts was number one as the non-essentials. And the funniest thing was they forgot about the fact that the article was written by writers, the infographic was created by designers. So, artists are making your articles, they're doing that, and you're calling them non-essentials. Like,
although this off scene and not this mainstream stuff are sometimes so made by people just doing it and not the famous things. So I like a big production in a big theater. It's wonderful to see, but the magic moments I always have in this small shows in this off Broadway in all this, and these people are the big losers. The
Yeah.
well known, or if you're in a big house, they have not this really problem. And I think we now lose the interesting part.
I don't know who said this, probably Augusto Bowl it was, but he mentioned, he said big theater is to create conformists and small theater is for revolutions.
Yeah.
And that's the part that we might lose if this is not really taken care of by some way or the other. I don't think any of us disagrees over here that there's no point really looking at the government to kind of come in over here. But I guess each of these phases, they pan out in a very different way. What we get out of it, what really emerges, only time will tell. You mentioned a very, very wonderful thing, Max, a while back. You were talking about how you can't really relate to online theater, watching it particularly, and you want to choose what you see, that you'd rather see the person standing in the background and carrying a particular expression or a gesture or a posture. That autonomy is kind of taken away in this online medium, and I think that's really, really important. That brings me to Preeti here, because you've been still kind of trying to go, every month you have your playback circle, and you're using the playback format, which is about particularly autonomy, which is about bringing in different perspectives on an instance, an episode, or a story. I know it has been difficult, but there may have also been some wonderful moments. If you can share those experiences.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, for me, during the pandemic, really, the one word for me is enriching. Yes, with all its limitations. And it's been a very interesting journey, I think, from a time when if someone would say that, okay, we want to just have a demo, a little peek into what do you guys do, playback? Can you show us? Can you come online? I was like, are you crazy? Like, how can we do this online? It's just not possible. The stories are going to come in the moment. You know, there's going to be this one person who's going to raise a hand. There's a silence, there's a suspense, there's anticipation. What's going to be spoken, sometimes even the person who's raised the hand doesn't know. That is flowing in the moment. How are the actors receiving it? How are the bodies interacting with each other? I mean, it's just all so beautiful and magical, and it cannot be put into a box. And here we were, you know, trying, like we actually tried initially because we're so used to like the stage and the audience. So we would stand like really far, right? So, okay, you're my audience and I'm going to stand like here. And then I want you to see my entire body that, oh, you know, this is what I'm feeling. And okay, now what do they do? And I said, okay, but why do I have to be so far? Like, you know, I mean, how could I just show you what I'm feeling like this? Maybe you will get it. And that was a whole journey from, in some way, reskilling. The desire to want to reach out to people, I think, was very strong, especially given the context, given the kind of stories that people are holding within. I think I almost felt like a sense of responsibility, right? That if that's what I say is my calling, listening to people's stories, this is not the time that I can shut down. I just have to figure out ways to listen to these stories. And so I think as a team, which used to meet, say, once a week, and sometimes not even that because Bombay, traffic, other appointments, we were meeting every day for at least 2 hours. Right from figuring out what is this gallery view and speaker view and spotlight and breakout rooms. Oh my God, they exist. What can we do with this? Right? Oh, somebody else in another team has figured out this. Let us call her here so that she can teach us how to do this thing, you know. And slowly we had the entire playback community interacting, like in Switzerland, in UK, in the US, in Israel, in Singapore. And it made people so much more accessible. Somebody else has figured out a new form, a new way of doing things. And this entire learning curve from that place, you know, standing far off to what's possible if you come close, to the use of objects. And these are all new things, what we could learn. And it was very uncomfortable for some people in the team. It's so uncomfortable to look at your own face and perform firstly. Okay, I'm doing this. Oh, I'm doing this. I mean, yeah, there are some narcissistic pleasures, but other than that, it's very distracting. And you know, people who are not comfortable with this closeness. But then I know that there are people in the team who have developed that over time. How do I communicate on screen? And gone further with their own individual work, which is perhaps outside of Mumbai Playbackers as well, to host shows, to do talk shows, to do other kind of solo work for their own creative growth. And that has been very exciting. So I think to me, the reaching out, whether it is to a completely new audience set who would never be able to come and see our work or feel the heart of our work, because this is just going to happen, say, in South Bombay, in that place, or in Andheri in one place. So here I have had someone from Ahmedabad, or someone from Delhi, or someone from Ujjain, who can have access. So that's been the lovely thing with the audience. Initially, we were doing shows, right? So where we are clear, like we are the actors, and then we listen to stories. And then the next thing was to bring online this playback circle format, which was in its other form, it was actually like our jam space, right? Our rehearsing space, which we would open out once a month to people who can come in. And then slowly we started bringing a structure to it where we can do a couple of exercises with them. But we also said, come and play with us, right? See what improv is like, see what it is like to hear someone's story and embody it. And that's what then we brought last year in August, in fact. So this July, we actually did we completed 12 circles. And what's been interesting is that there are 3 people who've come for pretty much each of these circles. There are some who've come for definitely more than 3 circles. And to me, that's again been something which has been very rewarding. That, okay, people want this place to connect. Having a space where you're talking something other than, what's wrong with the world and what's wrong with me. Or even if you're doing it in this creative way. You're using your own abilities in a different way. We started another format, which is simply to listen to stories. It's called as the listening hour, where the heart of playback continues. It's an open space where we start with a little bit of movement just to bring us, center us. And then it's like, okay, what image comes to you? And then what story do you have associated with it? And it just flows. And in the end, there is a kind of a artistic closure where, again, it's not an analysis or any kind of a hypothesis of where the group is at, or what part of your identity is being shown. None of that. It's just simply weaving this tapestry through sound, through singing, through the images that were really present, and giving it back. And that's again something where people just find a moment of relief. So I think these have been very rewarding, and each of these has had its own learning journey behind it, right? Before you can bring it forth to the audience. So like I said, audience reach, access to teachers and mentors has been, easier in the sense, I mean, I couldn't otherwise imagine Max coming and working with our team. And, like just these small little points, because none of us are used to working on screen. And, his one statement that, you have to look at the screen like you love it, right? And that changed the way that our next performance was.
I saw some shows of you, not so much, because the main reason is most of the time it was very early in the morning for me. So 2 or 3 times I tried to join, and I went like a zombie to the computer, and I said no. But another show a while later, and I really enjoyed how you use the screen, you use the camera, and in a wonderful way. It's not like I have to go now like this. You just do it, and then you play it together. So I really liked this transformation you did in a way, and I knew that for everybody it's new. So it was wonderful to see. For me, I really loved it and liked it, and it was really wonderful. But on the other hand, I said, it's not the thing I want to do all the time. So I know I can do it, but it's really this what me gave this COVID time to more realize what I like, what I don't like, because everybody of us missed a lot. I realized I miss it, but I don't have to do it. And that was really wonderful for me. So When you're going on and going on, you think, I miss it. Okay, I have to go on stage back. I have to go on stage. And then you have no chance to go on stage. And then you realize, yeah, you miss it. And it's wonderful to miss it. But I don't be sad that I couldn't do at the moment. I'm looking forward to go, but it's not like the end of the world.
Mm.
So many aspects. It's not only on performing. I think in my whole life, I realized this. I realized which people are really important for me. For me, in the last 1.5 year, the hardest time was when I heard that friends, especially from India, were infected with the virus. It was
Mm.
the hardest time for me. Most of the people I know before that, how important they are, but also other people. I realized what is important in my life, and in a way, it's a gift to have this time. But
Yes.
now it's time to stop it. I don't need more of this gift.
From the gift point, I was just thinking to myself, what I felt that with our work, there was something to offer out there, right? In the sense, it's not about come look at me and see how we've done this, how we've adapted, or oh, look at our creative take on this. I think it was driven by what can you receive. At one point, all of this was the initial excitement, right, of meeting so much, wanting to do so many shows, learning a lot from everyone, going to different people, different country, having their own groups and going and seeing their work, having our own team reviews of what roles are we playing, all of that. I mean, a lot of stuff to a point of, I think it was almost a point of burnout for me by the end of the year, where I just couldn't look at the screen. Like, I can't do this. And I know that there are some people in my team now, they're like, when the real time happens, I'm back. But right now, I cannot be moving myself like this in front of the screen. It's just crazy. Right now, it's been almost 6 months that we've not really done a show. But we've kept this circle space going, or the listening hour going, because it feels like people are taking something which is visceral, something which is happening in them, and something which is going to really stay for a while to feed into like some shot of energy to take back into their space.
You offered a lot for the final question, the last question for this conversation. I'll go back to Max because he said something wonderful. He said, it's not the end of the world. It is a cliche, but it does something when you hear that. Connecting this to your new space, which is, like you said, it's brand new. It's a new space. You haven't actually even broken into it in terms of doing a workshop or doing a show or doing any performance. It's just there, it's just waiting. And you have also kind of very clearly stated that this time has made you realize what is it that you like, how is it that you would want to perform, and how is it that you would want to engage with performances. My final question is that as performers, as theater actors or entrepreneurs or directors or anybody involved with theater, we are using our body, we are inhabiting space. And the third very important component is community, right? It could be a solo performance, but there is somebody who is going to either act with you, perform with you, or there is somebody who's watching you, or there is somebody's story that you are retelling them, and so on and so forth. So these three aspects, when you look at, what do you look forward to now?
Not so easy to answer. So I hope that I find the pleasure of doing what I'm doing is the same like 2 years before. And I don't know what I have to do to find the pleasure. I think I have to start to doing it. And I would say I have my scanner inside. How is the feeling? And perhaps it will go in a completely different direction, I think. I don't know it at the moment. I don't know if this 1.5 year changed me. I don't know it. So it's, that's what I'm thinking. Perhaps it's also a question on you. Do you think that this time changed you as a performer? So many people think I have to do this, then I'm happy. And I always say, I don't know what I have to do. I know it afterwards. I could say it, it's fine. And so that's the state I'm now, that I say, I think I want to go more in the direction to teach. But perhaps when I next time on stage with audience and some wonderful improvisers beside me, I go crazy and I said, I only want to perform. I don't know it. I have no idea. It's a good feeling that I don't know it. The core of my work is to feel safe in the unsafe.
Mm.
Perhaps that is, I don't know it. I'm really interested in what you think about this situation.
Yeah, a little stumped for an answer, but I think let me open with I'm definitely scared. I'm definitely really, really scared. And I don't mean to frighten you guys, but I have a family friend who's a doctor, and I met her last week. And she told me that this is going to be it for 5 years. And when she said that, and I was like, are you serious? So particularly India, just India, right? Because her opinion was that the only way we can overcome this is if the entire population got vaccinated at the same time, which is impossible, right? With a population like India, it's impossible for that to happen. So it has to be a gradual, like how SARS or how any of those epidemics, how they normally go out, fade out over 4 or 5 years. That's exactly what's going to happen. And when she said that, I didn't know how to respond to that. So one thing I am scared for, I'm really, really scared for theater. I really don't know in India. Again, I'm talking very specific about India and live theater. Again, I'm talking about live theater. I mean, what really scared me the other day also was we all know Adyam, right? We know Adyam. Max, just for you, Adyam is a theater initiative backed by a really huge multinational corporation called Aditya Birla Capital, right? I mean, they're huge. They're one of the biggest ones in India. We've heard nothing from them. Their last post was, I think, in November on social media. And if a well-funded theater initiative, their productions, their budgets are in crores. If something of that scale is not able to kind of pick up, imagine what's going to happen to Max, like you were saying, those small performances, like your really, when is that going to happen? When is someone going to be daring enough to say, okay, I'm going to produce a play that's going to go there? Number one. Number two, when is an audience going to come over there, right? Because in any case, in a place like this, the capacity is 20-25 people. It was anyway meant to be that. After this, what's it going to be? What, 10 people, 5 people in the audience? Is that going to be the thing? I think that really, really scares me. I'm not worried about work for artists. I think there's going to be enough and more work for artists, especially with the digital platforms, whether it's in the performance space or whether it's actually going into the creative corporate space, right? A lot of ad agencies coming up, media agencies. So for filmmakers, for writers, for designers, for artists, there's definitely going to be a lot of work in that sense. But what about things like theater? What about that live? When's that ever going to happen? And why I'm scared is I myself am thinking about it. If someone asks me, when are you going to A, say yes to a theater production as an actor, or B, direct or produce one theater production? Right now, someone would ask me, I would say, damn, no, I can't. I want, for a while, I want. And if I myself am saying that, I can only imagine what everyone else is thinking, right?
Mm.
So I think that is slightly scary. Even when it comes to training, right? You see all, like, for example, DSM and all, they're kind of adapting and they're going online. They've started this Eklavya program. All of that's happening. Sure, great. It's definitely the next best alternative. But does it really give you the same values, especially a craft like acting, performance, right? How much can you teach on the screen, right? How much? People who've just come out of college and the pandemic hit, they are in the worst place ever because they just came out of college and they're dying for a job, and suddenly the economy is hit this way, right? And artists are non-essentials, right? So you can imagine where they are in that spectrum of unemployability or whatever it is. So in that perspective, I'm scared, but a part of me has hope. Obviously, that's all we have, right? A part of me wants to believe that it'll come back with a vengeance. People, I think, will cherish the experience a lot more. Something like going to a cinema and watching a movie. That experience itself now has become such an exclusive thing, right? When we go back, it'll be like, wow, let's do this. It's going to be a plan of action. Yeah, come on, man. 2 weeks from now, block your calendar and stuff like that. It's going to have that energy to it. So I hope all the art forms, live theater, small theater productions, everything, all of them have the same treatment. All the audience members have the same thing towards it. And like they say, theater is the only dying art form that's never actually died. So it will never die, right? And again, you mentioned small groups, small theater productions actually being the ones that propagate the revolution within a society or whatever it is. That's going to happen a lot more because these times are going to give birth to such great artists. Like I'm looking forward to that. Like the amount of trouble that people have been through, the isolation, the misery, the issues that people are facing, right? It's all going to manifest in great and beautiful forms of art. We don't know when. It's not going to be in the next 3 to 5 years. It may be a decade down the line. But in many ways, we could possibly owe it to these 3 to 5 years of suffering.
I do hope that happens and we realize that art is essential.
Abhishek, I think it's very real. In fact, it makes me think what you're saying, that there is a collective trauma right now. I do think of it that, yes, I feel very privileged where I am right now, unaffected consciously, but definitely there is something that's happening underneath.
Yeah.
For some, it's in the face, and for the others, they're still part of that collective, and that will express.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
like you said.
Exactly.
Like what Max was saying, there is a lull or there is a quiet space right now. And the question I'm asking myself is that, can I allow myself to be here? Or do I want to keep looking for distractions? So do I accept the gift of the moment? The gift that I don't have to go anywhere, the gift that I don't have to go out and engage and tire myself socially with people. All the things that need me to be out. The thing that we've been really wanting, oh, can I just have some time away from all of this? And it's like when I get that time, I'm saying, oh, can I just have some time away from this? So, and I find myself, off late, let's say, I have in some ways said, okay, no more rehearsals, we're on break. I had a series of listening hours and I said, okay, this is the last one. I don't want to do this right now. So I find myself shutting off some of these places. And yet then it's almost like as a habit, not wanting to inhabit this quiet space, which is a space where I can use for practice, for my own, building of my discipline, for writing, for facing some of these things.
For the website?
So I think for the website, yes, as well. I mean, so many things, right? So I think for me, it is as an artist, as a person, as a combination. How do I use this without necessarily having to engage out? Which will then perhaps allow for me to re-engage, to redefine myself as an artist, as a performer, as a space holder, as a person, as to, okay, this is what I'm going to bring out. So can I also be my own teacher? Because yes, I mean, I look at myself, going back to that thread, that sometimes I find myself as an aggregation of all my teachers, right? Okay, I learned this from here, I learned this from here, I learned this from here, and I've made one nice, mix of this bhel puri khichdi, right? And this is what I'm bringing. And I say, okay, so where are you in this? And then I say, yeah, but I'm the one who's woven all of this, which is fine. I mean, I want to acknowledge that also. And yet there can be something more. How do I push my own boundary? How do I decide what is theater? How do I decide what is performance? Where am I performing? Can I keep engaging with that question? I think for me, that's what's important right now.
Hopefully there's a time you could choose what you want to do, that you can just choose, I want to do it online, not because there's no other chance. It's just
Yeah, because you want to. Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. And my biggest dream when all this virus time is over, I want to meet all the important people on one place and just for a week, spend time, work together. It would be a big dream.
It may even happen that like the small theater, they may adopt a very hybrid model where you have 20 people in the room, but you have 500 people online. So suddenly, even for these small places, it's such a value add, right? I'm sure even they want a lot more people to watch their production. Sure, ideally in person, but the room can accommodate only 20 to 25 people. But online, you can go unlimited, right? So it may even work well in that sense.
One of the experiences that I allowed myself during this time was that I went to a community called the Campbell community in Bangalore, which works with people of special needs, and they stay there together. And I went to volunteer because they don't have people just to do the regular stuff, right? Like the cleaning, the washing of utensils, the helping the special friends with brushing, changing, all of those kind of things. I had such a beautiful moment communicating with somebody who, I mean, she speaks, but you cannot make out what she speaks. And she always has a problem when the laundry goes, like she has this feeling that once the laundry is gone into the washing machine, it's not going to come back. So it really makes her really jittery. And I saw her in one of these moments, and I just sort of held her like this. This is it. And at that point, her energy just changed. So it wasn't doing anything big, but that was a very different feeling for me. Like I could see that she was just much more calmer, and she just held on to this, and her grip was so tight. And there's a Saturday evening where it's sort of like this quiet time where the entire community comes together, reflects on what's happened in the week. If someone wants to read a poetry or play some music, we can do that. And I asked that, I want to do something with this one girl. And we just improvised right there. And I was just saying things in just gibberish, and she was responding. And then I went on and she went on, and we used the entire space. And I mean, there was such brilliant moves. I mean, the choices that she made, it was just so precious for me. And I was just so thankful for this whole experience and what I received from that. And I said, this is what is the beauty of the art. To me, that is one of the dreams as well, that there are going to be communities, right? And how can art grow, for the people, by the people? In this way, does art have to be a piece of art? Can it just be something that makes us feel more human? Can it allow me to feel more? Can it, to see you more, to see myself more, to build hope, right? And I think for that, a part of me feels it's almost like if you remove hierarchy and levels of, oh, they are artists, it's almost like in some way, can all the artists vanish so that we can all be artists? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a beautiful thought. Yeah.
If you look at art as a verb, then it all completely changes. I think
sure.
On that wonderful note, I would like to bring this to an end. Thank you so much, Max, Preeti, Abhishek. It's just wonderful that you guys agreed and participated so beautifully. You've had some really wonderful things to share. I hope we can continue sharing one way or another, maybe less of online. Hopefully things will open up soon and we'll get to see and meet each other.
And thank you, Siddharth, for even conceiving this idea and, allowing for this kind of conversation, which is, it's rare to have these conversations.
it was a good vent, I think so. It was a good vent for all of us. You know, it's like almost like therapy, but you know, so just let it out, let it out.
And the crazy thing is, it wouldn't happen without the virus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
This,
I thank you that you organized this and all this time. It is wonderful, and I hope we could continue.
So thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you, Max, Preeti.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. See you
Bye
soon.
bye.